All right, everyone. Welcome to Masculine Geek number 212. This is the Fireside Chats and some random geekery. Originally, this was going to be the Masculine Geek live stream AD&D games session number 38, I think. But our DM has had to reschedule a few things, and he had a few things to take care of because of that rescheduling. So he's not here. We'll get that back in the AD&D live stream pipeline at a later date. For now, you have the rest of us, and we have one of our new players, Jesse, from his live from his Twitch streaming lair. Jesse, welcome.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
How's it going?
Welcome aboard.
Yeah,
Nice
welcome.
to meet all
Welcome
of you.
to you as well. So we've got. Let's go ahead. Everyone, go around. You know who I am. Go around and introduce yourselves to Jesse, and Jesse can get a feel for who's here.
All right, I am Robert. In Drew's game, I play a cleric of Thor, and in Rollo's game, I play Blodgett, a halfling thief, who was one of the pre-gen characters that actually came in that series of modules back in the day. So, I am known to some as the collector, to others as the archivist. So, as you can see,
The archivist.
yeah. So anyway, that's who I am. Great to have you aboard. Look forward to getting to know you a little better.
Nice to meet you.
I guess I'll go.
TJ?
I played Aldemar with Rollo's game as a ranger. I believe I was a full just human ranger. Then there was Halfton, who was a half human, half elf ranger. He died. I'm now playing his half brother, whose force got wiped out with Drew's game, but we'll see what happens with that. So, and then I've got the war room. So
That's right. Cool. Drew, you're next.
Awesome. I'm Drew Bay. I am Rhaegar Vargerson, the human cleric in Rollo's game, and I DM the other one. Keep everybody on their toes.
He kills our players
yes, you do.
in the other one.
I'm not trying to murder anybody, but the dice.
Yes. What chart are you using? Oh, here's 100 dark elves. Oh my! It's just the dice.
I am using the numbers.
In here, so
I'm using the numbers in the monster manual. And if you look at the numbers for some of these monsters, you look at the stuff and it's like, holy shit. Seriously? Sometimes they'll give you, like, you'll see 20 to 200 of some things.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, sometimes the best thing to do is to run or fireball.
That's true. Don't I know it? Yeah, I play in Drew's game. I play a human wizard, 6th level. And in Rollo's game, I am a half-orc fighter named Grot. But last but not least, Noble, you're next.
Alrighty. Noble Brown. I play Duncan, who is a human fighter in Rollo's game. And in Drew's game, I'm dead. Haven't spun up a new character yet. So,
Actually, you're undead now.
That's true. Yeah, I'm the bad guy.
He's been absorbed into the massive corpse spider thing.
Yes.
Whatever.
Say goodnight to the bad guy.
The hell, I don't know what to call it even. Corpse spider golem.
You're the DM. Give it a name.
Yeah.
I'll have to come up with one.
Basically, it's some kind of eldritch horror thing that came from H.P. Lovecraft or from The Thing. The John Carpenter version of The Thing, by the way.
A bit of all of it kind of together.
Yeah. That's what we're tangling with. And right
now
I'm the only person that can see it because it's invisible.
It's raining though.
Okay.
It's raining, so that'll work in you guys' favor for a while. But yeah, you can see it better than everybody else. You got to let them know what's going on.
Yeah. So.
Gotcha. All right. Well, I guess a little bit about me. Well, don't have a character yet. There was going to be a character, but since Rollo couldn't make it, I might rethink on that to see if we can do that since I have a little bit more time. As far as my background, Twitch streamer, long time, professional StarCraft 2 player. Went through the whole train wreck and all that. Found Rolo's content and Rich Cooper's content. Good friends with Miguel. I don't know if you guys know who Miguel is. I just been kind of like following along for a while, learning, unplugging, as you can say. Gotten to that point. Feels great now. And I noticed that over time, as I followed Rolo's content, he basically is into everything that I'm into. Like literally Dungeons and Dragons, BattleTech, Warhammer. These are the games that I stream on my free time, basically. So I do run a campaign in Dungeons and Dragons 5e on my channel on Sundays sometimes. Tomb of Annihilation currently. It's a Tomb of Horrors.
Cool.
As far as 1e, 2e goes, oh, nice. Oh, yeah. You got a favorite mech?
Probably the Shadowhawk, and the reason why is because I absolutely love Fang of the Sun Dolgrim, so it's hard for me not to love the mech from that anime in BattleTech, even though there are other superior mechs game-wise. All the classic anime mechs from BattleTech have a soft spot in my heart, but when I do play, it's always for the Lyran Commonwealth and the glory of House Steiner. So there you go.
What do they call it? Innisphere Surits, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm more in the clanner kind of area.
You're young.
Yeah.
Some of us aren't that young, so we like playing the old ways.
I thought you were all spry chickens. Apparently,
No.
they're all, future AARP members.
Oh, I'm getting their stuff in the mail now.
Oh yeah, I am too.
If I had to choose, probably Jade Falcon, just because of the role play behind it.
Mhm.
They're just so egotistical and full of themselves.
Right.
It was always fun growing up and doing the role play for that and Mech Warrior 2 and onward.
Mhm.
Probably one of the biggest games that I played was Mech 4. That's
Yeah.
where I really dug deep in the role play, and they had this kind of planetary campaign that we were
Mhm.
playing. Yeah, so it was very in depth. Nowadays they don't really do that stuff anymore. It's hard to find the role play aspects, critical thinking behind things, to really just dummy things down nowadays, and it's not as interesting as jumping on doing D&D, actually playing real BattleTech, those kind of things. So yeah, I saw how you guys.
How long?
Huh?
No, please finish.
Go ahead. Oh yeah. I was basically saying I saw how you guys played, and I was like, yeah, that's pretty good. If I was like chaotic good and someone was lawful evil, I might start a fight with them. Who knows?
Right. No, my question was, how long have you been Twitch streaming?
Oh man, good question. 13 years maybe. Yeah,
Oh shit.
so about 13 years. Made a job out of it. So
Nice.
it's pretty good. I'm doing what I love to do. I do a little project management on the side too. So I do outsourcing IT, and then big in the cryptocurrency currently. So I study tactical analysis on my free time late at night. Been making all the right moves. Bought the bottom here, so I'm happy about that. Yeah, so that's basically what I do.
Okay.
What flavor of IT are you into?
So it's not IT. I do the sales part of it. So I will do the project management. I will do the accounting. I'll jump on and talk to some of these businessmen and try to sell them to see if they want to go with us, with our firm, that kind of thing. Yeah.
I'm a delivery manager at a IT consulting type company, so
Okay, gotcha.
always keeping an eye out for talent.
Nice. Yeah, if you think you can use it, just let me know. We can talk about it.
keep it in mind.
All right, so 1E. Well, I was preparing for 1E, and then I realized it was 2E.
I thought we were playing 1A.
Well,
there's a lot of
Yeah.
similarities.
It is 1E as far as I know, but I think there's a difference between first edition AD&D, which is actually the second incarnation, you could say, of D&D if you count the original first edition as being what's essentially basic. But even in that, there are the two different variants of what got published in the box sets, unless you have one which is basically a more edited version of the original box set, and then you have another one which is basically a totally different game that doesn't lead into AD&D at all. So yeah, I'm not sure how Vince is categorizing those things. So
yeah, I was
or
taking
how
a
Rollo
look.
is in his case.
Yeah, I was taking a look at the book, say a week ago, and it reminded me a lot about Baldur's Gate. You guys have played that before? Old school Baldur's Gate.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So when I opened up the book, I saw how they were doing the weight, the stats, things like that. So I have a general idea of how old school D&D works, but mostly I've just been following, the new stuff. 5e. I actually picked up a book not too long ago. Let me see here, a week ago actually, because one of my favorite villains was on the book, and there you go. Got Lord Soft there. Yep. So pick that up. I know I don't have all the old school stuff, but I'm definitely big into it. And I've been studying a lot of the lore. And one of the characters I was playing before I picked up DMing in our campaign with a good friend of mine. He's deployed right now, but he was DMing, and I decided to do like a fighter warlock because the lore worked out pretty well, and I decided to go with like Soth as the patron. And then I was like thinking about it. I'm like, wait, would this even make sense? And then I was like, it can make sense. And I started doing more studying, and it was like, well, you know what? Maybe the patron will connect itself to Tiamat in a way in the future, before he awakes from, because we know the fate if you're familiar with the lore with him. So I'm big on trying to tie the things together really well with the book. So I like to do the studying and, pick up the books and read them.
So is 5th edition the only D&D that you've played then? Have you not played like 2nd, 3rd, or 4th?
I have not.
Okay. Then you may be in luck by that, because as much as Wizards have really woke-defied recent product, whether it's Thaco the Clown and some of the other, play your trans, wheelchair-bound, handy-capable, trans bard, whatever. The core rule books for 5th edition, Player's Handbook, DM's Guide, and Monster Manual, just those 3 books themselves, is the most D&D or AD&D D&D has been since 2nd edition. And I stand by that, despite all the other crap they've done since then. 5th edition has been it's oversimplified in a lot of ways. It has lots of video game elements to it, and some of the balancing stuff is really kind of dumbed down. But that's really getting into the minutia of it and being super critical in some ways. But game wise, you could play an old school style of D&D with 5th edition, which I do not believe you could do with 3rd edition, and certainly you couldn't do with 4th edition. But that said, over the years, I've given 2nd edition a lot more credit for being like first edition than it really is when you go back and actually look at the rules. The change to second edition is pretty dramatic, but my transition from first to second was I pretty much was using the first edition books. I think I got like a player's handbook to redo some stuff for characters. But as far as the monsters and stuff, I didn't take the demons and devils out of the game. I left the assassin as a player class because a very prominent, powerful assassin was a major PC turned NPC in our game world. And I ignored some of the other mechanical changes because my natural default was, when in question, go with what it was in first edition AD&D. So, but fifth edition was whereas when I got third edition, I'm looking through it, it is essentially from the ground up a totally different game. And I would probably have a better time learning to play it as Pathfinder than as anything called D&D, because when you say D&D, I instantly think of the other game. I'm
not picking up any more rule books though. I'm sticking with AD&D and whatever scenarios that Drew and Rollo come up with is fine.
A lot of the 1 and 2, first and second edition stuff are practically interchangeable. It seems like a lot of the
Thaco's nice.
Yeah, some of they changed. I think there were some changes to the bonuses that you got depending on your ability score. I think there were some changes. Silver, instead of being 20 silver to a gold piece, I think became 10. So everything was 10, 10, 10. I think a lot of the second edition stuff was more of we have to come up with something different because of the whole satanic panic thing and take some of this stuff out. More than because they actually, and they needed a new product to sell, but it was not like Advanced Dungeons and Dragons second edition is almost like Advanced Dungeons and Dragons 1.2.
They had TSR had to go very PG with it to satisfy the at the time that version of the woke mob. They really did, and they even made they took the lizard off the logo. They turned into the game wizards, and they made I forget the name of the cartoon wizard, the animated logo, to make it seem more friendly, and the way their marketing scheme went. But it's a family friendly game. Everyone can play. You got rid of a lot of the pulp elements with the old AD&D artists. The basically the half nudity and big tits, and which was fantastic. But that was gone entirely from second edition.
As a 12, 13-year-old boy at the time, going to the hobby store to pick those things up, that was some of the best. The artwork was some of the best.
Absolutely,
those old.
That's judging a book by its cover. It's compelling. It draws you in. That's the idea. It's the idea behind and we were just talking about book covers.
The new covers are like
just
recent stuff is atrocious.
Why are there no tits on the book cover?
Our book cover?
Yeah.
It doesn't lend itself well to that. At least not the initial one. The other stuff is inside.
I want a second edition. If it gets to a second printing, we need to add boobs.
Oh. Is he talking about our pulp anthology?
He's talking about our anthology. Yeah, he's throwing us on the bus even before it fucking comes out.
Look, man.
What I really want.
It's got elements of the story. I haven't read your stories yet, so I don't know if there's tits in it. I know there's tits in mine.
There could be.
When I start writing, I will make sure that every story that I am able to put together to contribute has at least one pair of tits hanging out at some point.
Oh, mine's got. I'm not going to say you have to read it. You're going to have to read it. You're going to read it. Just read it.
Make it a staple of the stories. There's always a reason that you can fit that in there. It's
there's broads in the stories.
Yeah, evil sorceresses. Even you get the undead. Well, one of them's died and came back to life in the shower. Hey, have you read The Empire of the Necromancers.
Can't say I have, no.
I think it was Clark Ashton Smith. You got to read it. You got to read it.
See what I can do.
Yes. The necrophilia reference. The bad guys are messed up. We'll just put it that way.
Yeah.
Nice.
I actually am concerned about that sometimes with streaming because some of the way that I run the campaign that I'm doing. So if you're familiar with, I don't know if they have this object or item in Tomb of Horrors, Tomb of Annihilation, but they have the Black Skull amulet, and you can teleport with it. Is basically what it is. But one of the abilities is when you use it and you fail your constitution, certain things can happen, like 1 out of 5 things. You either become petrified, paralyzed, you can't heal for a long time, you get cursed. One of them is you appear with nothing except for the Black Skull amulet. And right now in my campaign, the hot, elf, half elf, who's pretending to find their father, who is not their father. Basically,
Roll
it's going to be a
a
twist.
5.
Yeah, if she teleports, she might just leave all her stuff behind. I actually have a clip of that, but the thing is, I've got to kind of censor it a little bit when I put it on my stream.
Right.
It's a little unfortunate, but it is what it is. But I like to use a lot of that in the game, because I think it makes it interesting, especially with following the rules. Like, how is anybody else going to play that out? It's in 5e. It says you have nothing on but that skull if that happens. So,
Jesse, what's your Twitch, your handle?
rough underscore stuff underscore TV. So, I'll type it in. There we go. Just like
All right,
that.
let me throw that up. I'll make you a mod if you drop into. Oh, you already did, so I'll make you a mod. Let me go onto the YouTube.
If you have any kind of really powerful magical item or ability, there needs to be some type of a risk to counter that. You get some items that are low risk, low reward, some other items that are very high reward, but they need to have a certain element of risk so that it balances the power. If you get the super powerful item, but do you really want to risk the potential negatives of using it unless the situation is dire? So it makes for a more interesting decision. And then you also have more excitement with the outcome. You are either elated, you get that fiero that, yes, this worked out, this awesome thing has happened because you get this powerful item, or, oh, fuck, we just went from the frying pan into the fire and then down into the coals below where it is just searing. And that's always fun when you've got a situation where things are really just chaotic and you think you've got a hold on it, and then suddenly it's a hell of a lot more dangerous than what you were just you get out of one situation, find out shit.
Yeah, I've got
this is even worse. So it's fun having that risk there, and even when things go badly, it makes things interesting.
Yeah, I have an old player character that has a deck of many things, but I have never, in like 40 some odd years that I've had this player character, has he ever drawn a card out of the deck. He just has it.
I wouldn't if I had a character that I had been running for a couple of months, and it was one of a stable of characters in a game that was run in real time, where you always have to have 3 or 4 PCs to play it properly. Then I might gamble with that, but not with a character that I run for that long.
Yeah,
I don't think I'd risk it, or maybe I would, because then it would be a Nintendo
NES game. I'm hearing this.
I'm hearing it now.
Like
That's
Gauntlet.
Nobles in a cigar lounge. That's the background noise.
Okay, it sounded like an NES game.
Could be.
You know what's great about
Sounds like
not
one of those
knowing?
games it sounds like Top Gun, the NES game, where you're shooting all the guys down, then you have to land the plane on the aircraft carrier.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds just like that.
It could be.
What were you saying, Jesse?
Oh yeah, I was saying one of the beautiful things about being a player and not a DM and being new to D&D is you just don't really know what to expect. You brought up the deck of many things. Surprisingly, in our campaign, we actually had the deck of many things. And when one of our players that was holding it fell prone, he rolled, I think, a 1, and they all fell out on the floor.
Oh,
Nice.
And it's kind of funny because then they all went like topside, and it's like you have to pick it, right? And so the DM forced us to pick it, even though we didn't have to. We were just scared about it. We're like, oh shit, what's going to happen? So my character got super rich, but now he's not super rich anymore because that character, the NPC that had my stuff in the bag of, holding, is gone. And but it's rewarding because one of the NPC characters just gone. You never know what's going to happen if your intelligence is going to go down, if you're going to die to the Reaper or something like that. It's great, just that risk factor.
Yeah,
Someone who has the balls to just pick up a card and see what happens.
Yeah,
We
right.
had
No,
a,
I know.
Player character in one of our campaigns that had changed alignment, and it was one of those things in the game that the DM basically slid them a note, ostensibly for just for their record of like treasure and stuff like that, and then, oh, by the way, you are now lawful evil, and because of a magic item that they had found and had touched, and that's just how the die roll turned out, he ended up changing his alignment and became an evil character. Now, of course, that player and the DM knew that this person was now lawful evil, but no one else in the party knew. And so now this evil person has to still fit in with these group of mostly good aligned characters, but now his motivations are very different. And I have heard lots of stories about other people talking about playing evil campaigns or playing with evil player characters and how it never ever works out. But in my experience, if you've got the right group of players and they're not just out to be dicks, but are actually, evil, intelligent beings would not necessarily screw each other over just to screw each other over. They have certain ambitions and certain goals. And, the whole idea that evil people can't necessarily work together, I wish it were that simple. Life would be a lot easier if everyone evil was stupid and couldn't work with other evil people. But history shows that that's not the case. And the same's true even when you're a bunch of teenage boys playing a game you love. We had evil characters and we had good characters. And what was interesting is over time, those evil characters became adversaries for some of our good characters because they all existed in the same world, and occasionally their paths would cross. And when they did early on, we had no idea that they were, that was Mike's evil player character or that was George's anti-paladin. It was only over the time of gameplay when names finally got dropped or descriptions were so on the nose that you couldn't help but figure it out. Even if your PC didn't know who this person was, you knew who it was. I mean, that was just the great fun of the game. But one of the luxuries that none of us have as adults is, when you're a young kid in school, depending on what all you choose to have going on in your life, playing one-to-one time in the game was easy to do because you were constantly thinking about the game and talking about the game. And if you went to school with guys you played with, you were passing notes in German class written in dwarven runes from the Lord of the Rings books as secret codes so the teachers couldn't figure out what you were talking about if they busted you and stole a note. So, you know, those golden glory days were golden and glorious for several reasons, not least of which the women were all attractive, the hair was all big, so were the breasts, and all you had to do was play D&D and spend your every waking moment thinking about girls and playing D&D. It was it was a glorious time to be alive.
There have been people running campaigns with the what I guess we're calling Jeffro Gaxian time now, at the 1-to-1 time, where the campaign world does not stop at the end of the game. Things keep happening in the campaign world while the players are not playing. So if you have a game on Friday and then the next week you play on Friday again, a week has passed in the real world and you are a week later in the game world too. It has worked out really well, but for it to work, you have to have players that understand how that works. And you also have to be incorporating a bunch of other rules that make it work. If you play AD&D by the book, rules as written strictly, it works really well. But you also have to have enough people so that regardless of when you get together to play, you have at least enough people that are that available at that time that you can run a session. And there also has to be regular communication between everybody in between and the patron players and whatnot. So it works, and it works really well, but only if you have enough people that are involved and good communication. It was just tremendously fun. I absolutely loved the Tolopolis campaign. I hope to be able to jump back in. Problem is, the sessions that I was getting into started late on Thursday, and they would go really, really late. And I can't be doing that right now with work that I'm doing. I've got to be up relatively early most mornings. So scheduling, but it's tougher, but it's doable. And if I would love for us to be able to do it, but it wouldn't work well for this format because most of the audience would be completely lost if every time we picked up a game, we didn't pick like a television show where it picks up like where it left off. If we were picking up a completely different time and most people didn't know how the hell this works, they might not be able to follow us. So what we're doing is almost more of like a radio play, an improv radio play using D&D as structure than anything else.
Well, yeah, we'd have to, because I mean, with, like, for example, tonight with our game being canceled, it's fine if we had planned everything we were doing over these last couple of weeks since the last time we played Rollo's game. But now, instead of, okay, we're returning back to the dungeon of the Slaver's Keep, and instead it's like, no, someone runs into the bar. It's like, no, our wagon's to the Slaver's Keep. Something happened. They've been stolen. So, okay, now we've got another week to kill here in town. It's like, well, what are you going to do? Well, I guess I'm going to practice my thief skills just so at the end of the next session that we get awarded experience points, I have the training and I need to go up another level or whatever. And it just... yeah, and it doesn't work in this kind of format. It would work if we were just gaming at Vince's house every Wednesday night or something like that, but it doesn't work in this kind of setting, unfortunately.
It would be hard for people to follow.
Oh, yeah.
Follow what?
If we were doing 1-to-1 time, especially with the scheduling.
We really can't do that with the scheduling and
we were just talking about
the nature of the live stream. I mean, around the table with your friends, fantastic.
Doesn't work with the format. We're saying this is almost like improv radio plays with D&D for structure.
Correct.
Which that might actually be a fun thing to do sometime too, is to just have maybe you or one of you guys, and I say one of you guys because I've procrastinated so much with my goddamn writing, but do a sort of radio play. That could be fun. A pulp radio play.
No, that was an idea that TJ first came up with when Masculine Geek first started.
That's a brilliant idea.
You know, one of
Yeah.
the problems is that I listen to old time radio frequently, and the amount of production values as far as like background noise. I mean, they have to basically create like the entire audio setting for the voiceovers where you're actually reading stuff.
Oh, shit.
Like you gotta do like the doors opening, the bar scene, somebody
Yeah,
slamming
gunshots.
all that stuff. So I mean, it was a full-on production, and people got paid a lot of money, but they also made a lot of money, and also they got sponsors from like, Lux Soap did a theater hour where they recreated films as radio adaptations. I'm not against it. I just it was an idea, and I was like, oh, that'd be cool. But then I started thinking about it. I was like, okay, this is all the stuff that we're gonna have to do if it's going to be.
We would
anywhere
need,
near.
what do they call it? Foley person?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, it's just a ton of like audio editing, production. I mean, I remember when I was doing video editing when I was in high school, the number of hours, and I also did it for a couple of news organizations I worked with. The amount of time it took to do a video, 2-minute video, was hours compared to like a story, just straight up story. That the story didn't take very long. But you go add the video element in. That's why we ended up scrapping it, because it just took the. In terms of the amount of time we spent, it just wasn't there.
Yeah. Well,
So-
doing it in this format, like with a live stream audio play, if you will, pulp
Yeah.
audio play, I think each of us could take, all right, TJ takes all the gunshots and the door openings. Robert takes all the wind noises and loud bangs.
Mhm.
And when that is indicated in the script, you hold up whatever instrument you're using to make the noise as almost like a
theater.
goof
Well, the
on
thing is,
itself.
It'd be almost like
Just
theater
clapping
rather than
or-
radio.
Yeah, exactly. It's live theater.
Yeah, but with the digital technology that we have now, a person with the right soundboard could theoretically have all those sounds ready,
Yeah,
especially if they know
could-
these are all the
absolutely, yeah.
sounds we need for next Wednesday night, or for Wednesday night a month from now, and have a soundboard not unlike the one Rob has, even, or Rollo has, as long as you have those sounds pre-programmed in. That all we need a gun, we need a small caliber gunshot, like a revolver, pistol of some sort.
Footsteps.
We need footsteps. We need one machine gun, a Thompson machine gun, preferably, but just some kind of machine gun sound.
Mhm.
The sounds of a crowded bar, glasses clinking. And
Try to
mumbles
see if we
and
can get a version of the Wilhelm scream.
yeah, something
You know?
like that. That's all you would need is, if you have the script and these are the sounds effects we need. I just got to make sure I have them programmed in, and you could do it. It's actually a hell of a lot easier to do something like that now, thanks to the technology, than it was back in the days of Orson Welles. And I would love to do something like that, because depending on what character I was playing or characters I was playing, I could probably work up some costumes to do it, just for my own amusement, if nothing else.
Right.
I mean,
Well,
it's
it would
like
be
that first
it would be
Viking D&D game we did, that we all wore costumes.
Oh
or
yeah.
play
It
for.
would be
That was a
good.
blast.
It would be good to have someone who's read the script and just do the sounds, so we don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
I think that would be a good idea. If we decide to do it, then yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Bacon.
Michael Winslow.
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
fantastic from the
Police
Academy.
Academies. Mhm.
Bacon. Speaking of D&D, found a place for you guys and TJ to check out in Washington State. Well, therein lies your first problem, Bacon. It is a gaming establishment in Woke Central, so nobody's going there. Thank you though for thinking of that. Nobody that would be ground zero for bullshit. But so what are your thoughts on a live theater production, Jesse? This is kind of right up your alley, like a pulp reading of a short story or something with all the sounds and effects.
Yeah, it definitely brings interest and depth to whatever you're doing. Like I have a sound board as well for what I do, kind of like how Rollo does. Yeah, it's just a matter of getting it flowing. Everybody's always showing up to this thing. I think that's the most important thing. It's hard to get people to be consistent. You know, if there's a consistency there, people are showing up every time. You get the soundboard going. I think it can become something good. It's just, you know, that's a struggle I have with my campaign as well. You know, when I think about that, like people are always canceling for something here or there. You know, then it's delayed another week, and people are expecting, especially when you're a streamer, expecting something to, you know, to be there during that time. You know.
Yeah.
But yeah, that if it's done right, you know, it could be intense. You know, especially when people are listening to this story.
Well, that's it. Yeah, we could even do it for the D&D games.
Mm-hmm.
You know, fireballs and lightning bolts and arrows and clashing of armor.
Mm-hmm.
Does Rollo have a physical soundboard, or is it software that works with streaming?
He has both, I think.
Yeah.
You know what? You can, as a DM, I guess you can do the sounds, but at the same time, it sort of takes you out of that flow. You want to break up the workload, so to speak.
I try to describe stuff, but I think it'd be silly if I said, okay, the wind is coming in and started doing shit like that. But if I had
if you had a wind sound, like you just pressed a button, like a pre-programmed button, yeah, exactly. That would be cool. I mean, you could make the wind sound. That's rather amusing.
Have to look into it. Thunder,
right?
Monsters growling and screaming and all that stuff.
That's always fun. You feel like a little kid again.
Mm-hmm.
You're around the tabletop playing D&D.
Leprechaun dying noises.
Don't DMs do that already?
I guess
everything comes crashing down.
I suppose so. Yeah, I don't really watch too many other live stream games other than our own. Then again, it's on in the background while I'm doing something. So maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I actually kind of wanted to rewind a little bit. I know we were talking about these evil characters and whatnot. Have you guys had a in-party kill before with conflicting alignments?
Yes and no.
But
it wasn't because of alignment.
Well, that was all right. That was a one shot with Jeffro Johnson. I don't know if you've followed him or seen his stuff on. He's been absent, actually, conspicuously absent off of Twitter lately.
I think he's writing. I think he's got something he's working on.
Okay, but speaking of, so Amos usually plays a sort of a trickster character, or he makes the character a bit of a trickster, so he can be mischievous. Not evil, but mischievous. So this is Amos. Jesse, Amos.
Nice to meet you, Amos.
He's also undead.
Yes, his character is dead. Yeah. It's very,
undead. He is now
undead.
A part of that corpse golem abomination.
That spider thing, like straight out of Stranger Things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, something like that.
Yep.
Yeah, usually there's creative ways to prevent the conflict from happening, even if you have conflicting alignments. I was curious though, because I've played some of the games like Minx and Edwin freaking going at each other's throats for most of the time, and then right when you're about to get toward the end of the game, they just start fighting each other.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I've always thought about those kind of things. When I'm running my campaign, because I'm picking up the same story in the same world as my friend who was DMing before. So we have some people who are, I would say, he's relatively unplugged. He will roleplay an evil. He will roleplay a good. He will roleplay a neutral. But some of these other individuals, they have emotions in them that they pick an evil character and they can't play evil.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Have you dealt with that, experienced that? Because I'm dealing with it actually right now in my campaign.
Oh shit!
And
no.
I've got to I'm literally trying to get them to come on, you can't be doing.
Do something
right
evil. Do something evil.
Yeah, most of I have been very, very picky about with whom I game. So at least as far as playing D&D. So I have my original group, which was started in the late 70s and ran all through the 70s into the late 80s when we all went away into service, and some of us unfortunately never came back from that. But my original game group, there were the guys I went to school with, and then the cousin of one of those guys who became like one of my best friends, and his gaming group, and our gaming groups just kind of were all interconnected. So we had the one massive group which shaped the entirety of our campaign world, and then within that you had our various little groups that ran at various different times, and it all just kind of connected to each other. Then come the 90s, after a little bit of a break, I end up at a sci-fi convention local here in the state of Indiana, and a female friend of mine was running a Vampire the Masquerade game at the convention, and she's like, would you please play? Because she volunteered to do this for like credit at the convention, and apparently a bunch of kids signed up to play, and she wasn't expecting that. She was expecting maybe one or two at the most, and she basically ended up with a full table. And she's like, I'd like to have someone there to kind of back me up and help me keep control, since I don't know any of these people. And it ended up being a bunch of kids from Speedway High School. So I end up playing Vampire with them, and then they find out I played D&D, and they're like, well, would you be willing to run something for us sometime? And I'm like, yeah, sure. They were all playing 2nd edition. So I basically had them roll up characters and threw them into the campaign world that my friends and I had created back in the 70s and 80s. And it was a total mind-blowing experience for them, because as a bunch of high school kids, they thought D&D was, you walk into the room, there are 10 goblins, you kill the 10 goblins, you take all their gold, then you go into the next room and there are 5 orcs, and you kill the 5 orcs, and you take all their gold, and you go in the next room.
They alphabetically go through the monster manual.
Yeah, and that's basically what they thought D&D was. Whereas in, gaming with me, they're like spending 5 minutes arguing over, he said the door didn't appear to be trapped. He didn't say the door wasn't trapped. And, and they're actually having to think and plan and play their characters. So that was the first time I had girls actually playing in the game on a regular basis, which was an interesting experience, because girls at your table make it almost, yes, you're fighting and killing, but they also want boys to kiss. Strange stuff. But also, that was my first experience with anyone who always wants to play chaotic neutral, because chaotic neutral means you can be a douchebag whenever you want, because
No
chaotic
repercussions.
neutral, it doesn't
Yeah.
matter. And it's like, I'm just playing chaotic neutral. It's like, no, you're being an ass, and if you keep that up, you're going to get smashed. And that happened. Whereas with the guys I played with, just like, the paladin is lawful good, not lawful stupid. So, there are some people that don't know how to play that alignment either, because they haven't read the books where paladins come from or study the history. But it really depends, I think, on age and maturity, and also, I think, some experience. We had no problems playing evil characters. And just because they were evil, yes, the chaotic evil ones were a little bit more unpredictable, but a bunch of guys playing lawful evil, or even neutral evil, but kind of leaning more lawful, no, it's like, okay, I'm not going to kill you now, but I will eventually kill you. But for right now, we need to accomplish this. At one point in time, our goals and ambitions may conflict with each other, in which case then we may have to fight. But for right now, my goal to take control of this port city and run all of the thieves and assassins out of it is not conflicting with your desire to get some eldritch abomination artifact to use to, murder your brother and take his throne, or, whatever. and it was just a matter of we could play the game, we could play the alignments, and it wasn't. I mean, we were playing with friends and we were trying to have fun. We weren't trying to be douchebags to each other.
Well, that's the spirit of the game.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, that's really the spirit of the game. So when you throw evil characters in the mix, I get it.
Mhm.
But ultimately, unless you have an emotionally mature individual, and let's face it, at high school age, you're not going to find that.
Mhm.
Wasn't even going into young adulthood. Playing an strictly evil character that's just trying to be a douchebag, I would never allow that at my table.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it
Well,
seems
and
like
in Jethro's game, you did play an evil character, Vince. You were, weren't you like a half orc assassin?
I was
And you were
half-orc
evil.
Oh, absolutely. But I wasn't. It wasn't. Here's the deal: an evil character can be evil,
Yeah.
operating within the confines of the world,
evil.
but with the party, you
Mhm.
still have to be cooperatively evil. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
my character
No
was
problem.
neutral good, and our characters had great synergy in that game as
Oh,
far
yeah.
as doing stuff
Exactly.
with
yeah.
each other. We knew
yes.
each other's roles.
Yep.
We watched each other's backs.
Mhm.
So, you know, yeah,
I was definitely watching your guys' back way outside.
You were
yes.
just no. You had that like curse on you. You just were running for 3/4 of the
No,
game.
I was watching
away.
your guys' back deep in the woods.
Yeah.
Yes. We're watching your back recede into the distance.
Yeah.
And
Mr.
then
Marathon
I killed
Man.
you.
Yeah, you did.
Yes.
Yeah, this is actually one of the funny things, Robert, about that whole girl story with the chaotic neutral, where you can get away with doing whatever you want.
Yeah.
When I started dating 2 years ago, I started doing like Tinder and all that stuff. Whenever I ran into a woman who played D&D,
Oh God.
they always played chaotic neutral. I kid you
Yeah.
not. I have
Yeah.
never met a woman that did not play chaotic neutral. And it got to the point that after 2 or 3 that I would talk to that say that, oh, I'm into D&D, I would come out with like a pickup line like, oh, would you party with like a evil fighter warlock, because, and they'd be like, oh yeah, I would totally do that, and then and then I'd be like, oh, let me guess, you're chaotic neutral. Oh my God, how did you know?
You're a mind reader.
You know?
Jesus. Yeah, it's just so
But
fucking
that's
stupid.
just how it is nowadays. It's
Yeah.
it's just I don't know what it is.
It's just
They
astrology.
are so attracted
It's
to
D&D astrology. Yeah.
playing that alignment, and it's I can't explain it. It's just
Lack of
you can play-
accountability.
You can play a good chaotic neutral or chaotic neutral character and not be a douche. I mean, that's obviously doable.
right.
But it's the understanding of the alignments and how they interact with each other,
Yes.
and once again that dubious party unity because you have a common goal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's different when you're playing with strangers, like at a gaming store or a comic book store or anywhere or a convention or something where they're having open gaming, and playing with your friends. I mean, because if you're playing with your friends, which is really what the
Mike
game
there.
is designed to do, I'm sure every group has its Aaron Clary, but it's
The Claren of Clanary.
yeah. But yeah, it was one of the sessions we had took place in a small kingdom called Falkirk. It's somewhere located in like in part of the hilly mountainous regions of Pennsylvania, because we basically used a map of the United States and kind of adapted the geography so that, like in the American Southwest, there was an Egyptian culture with pyramids and stuff like that, and in like Charleston area there were port cities that were kind of like Athens, and we used what knowledge we had of history and of the different cultures allowable within D&D, and then kind of adjusted it to the continental United States to the best of our knowledge. Where did lizard men live? In the bayou swamps of Louisiana and the Everglades of Florida. There is a huge kingdom of lizard men there. Because we were young, it was what we knew, and we adapted it. and had no problem doing so.
Mm.
But the group of kids from Speedway, there was a situation with this kingdom where their characters ended up there, and there was events that happened that literally happened to us as player characters that I put them into this scene that pre-existed. And in this scene, a halfling fighter who had a girdle of storm giant strength rolled a natural 20 on a punch to a half-orc mercenary and basically knocked his block off, punched his fist through his skull, you know, the whole thing as you would describe it, as a 13 to 16-year-old group of boys. When the halfling fighter rolls a natural 20 wearing a girdle of storm giant strength, giving the halfling fighter a strength of 24. They witnessed this scene in the game, which they weren't even alive
Fucking
for.
Mighty Mouse.
And they're all like stunned silence, except the one girl who's playing with her boyfriend, who immediately drops down and goes, "I'm in love." And she became in love with this former player character who was now being used as an NPC. And it's like, oh my God, I have to worry about romance in the game, because when in my original gaming group, it was like, oh yeah, this character's really hot in the deities and demigods, or the, you know, the succubi in the monster manual. And it's like, what do I have to do for my character to be able to mate with them?
Roll to have
and then
sex with her.
Yeah, we got to crunch the numbers and work out, well, you've got to not be able to be seduced and this and that and so on and so forth. But it was
It's like a
all very,
science.
yeah, it was all very science. It was all very heady. There was absolutely no romance whatsoever, because it was never about romance. It was about, well, if this happened, how does this affect the overall campaign? How does this affect the overall campaign when the grandfather of assassins in our game world mates with Glacide, the daughter of Asmodeus, and they have a kid? Well, the whole kid thing wasn't even planned. It was just the mating with and the devil's daughter in service to the greater evil, because it was an evil character who had maxed out and was getting ready to become an NPC. Well, things happen and the story goes on, and it was not about the romance and stuff, but it was about how this changes the world. And now, because of this, the assassin has a half devil child that is gunning for his father to kill him, to take his place and assume his power, because he's a little evil hellspawn. But yeah, so it was really interesting having to deal with the whole Hallmark Christmas special that you have, especially when you have teenage high school girls. Because here I am in my later 20s dealing with a bunch of high school kids, and it was eye-opening just how different they were. But I saw all of them graduate from high school. Some of them graduate from college. So I don't know. I guess I wasn't too terrible of an influence on them, but
I'm sure they had fun.
yeah. And well, and that's the thing. It was
That's
all
the main
about
thing.
having fun.
Yeah,
And
at the end of the day.
yeah. And they learned D&D was more than just being murder hobos. There was an actual story that evolved, but it wasn't necessarily a pre-planned story. It was how the dice roll, how your characters react and interact, and you know, what comes naturally.
I think that it would actually be fun to play a game with murder hobos if the game world responded to them the way that an actual, you know, medieval or Iron Age setting would respond to a bunch of people just running amok, murdering people.
Mm-hmm.
That would be a challenge. If you were a group of bandits and murderers,
Then you're just
there
playing
would
Warhammer.
be-
Then you're just playing Warhammer Fantasy.
you would have people constantly trying to capture and kill you for it. You would be hunted by powerful heroes. There would be bounties. You couldn't go near a town.
Well, there are consequences to your actions. Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, if you did that, then it might actually be interesting, but you'd have to have some motivation. Maybe just robbery and getting getting gold and jewels would be enough, but it could be fun if it was done right, instead of just stupid. Let's kill this, let's kill that, because they don't want to pay for something at the shop. If there were consequences, and you actually played maybe a group of bandits or a group of assassins or
monsters, because obviously when you look at the monster manual, the chieftains, gnolls can be led by Flynn's from the Fiend Folio or Monster Manual 2. You have higher level monster chieftains, leaders, lizardmen, king, who would hey, who are these group of 5 or 6 people that come in, kill all of our people, kill all of our children, take all of our treasures, defile our evil temples to our gods. And it's whoa. Half orcs and orcs getting together with hobgoblin chieftains and other chieftains to let's lay a trap for these fuckers. That would be cool. That even the monsters are this, you guys coming into the caves of chaos and killing all of our people, stealing all of our stuff and leaving, and doing that every week or every other week. No. We're expecting you this time. We're laying a trap for you this time. We're amassing an army this time. That would be interesting. That would be Drew.
Yep. Give me ideas.
All right, gentlemen.
So
I wanted to keep this one a short one. Usually when we do a fireside chat after we've been thwarted in our usual scheduled programming, we like to keep them around an hour. So, Jesse, I want to thank you for joining us tonight.
Yeah, it was nice meeting you guys. It was great chatting.
Absolutely. And we will look forward to the rescheduled game wherein you join us for actual play.
Looking forward to that.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Any chance you could be a Viking, Drew? Do we have room at our table?
We can make it work. Absolutely. I can. I think I have run games at a table for I think 7-8 people.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, why not?
Well, I mean, Bent's dead.
Well, he's coming. Well, not Bent's not coming back, but Amos, I hope he is.
Amos, I don't believe so. You're still here. Can you answer to that?
There are still people back on one of the other boats. One of the boats sank. One of the boats is in bad shape, but still seaworthy. The sails and some other things, and the rigging needs to be repaired. Maybe one of the masts. But there's another ship that came in relatively unscathed, and there are still people on there that are, getting things prepped and everything, and doing whatever it is that sailors do
to be clear, Jesse is scheduled and slated just for Raul's game.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's personal preference. He doesn't know about your game, or he cannot do your game because it's a time commitment. We're obviously putting him on the spot right now live. Asking him
I apologize.
So that would be something we can discuss. It's not nobody knew, so it's not a big deal. But
hey,
I'm fine either way.
Yeah,
I love D&D. I'm sure we can talk about it and we can see what we can do.
There you go. Awesome. All right, let's do some quick housekeeping. Robert, where can everyone find you?
Robert Kuzlin on Twitter, on YouTube, on Instagram, and of course here with the Masculine Geeks.
There you go. TJ, yourself.
TJMartinell.com.
Fantastic. Amos, no one's going to find you, so we're not going to ask you.
No
Drew. Well, you want to remain incognito. Drew, how about yourself?
They can find me at baye.com. That's BAYE.com, and at Bay Drew on Twitter.
Okay. And last but not least, our new D&D player, Jesse. Where can everyone find you?
Yeah, rough_SC2 on Twitter. So that's RUFF. Then also on Twitch, rough_stuff_TV. So if they're interested in that, StarCraft 2, D&D, BattleTech, MechWarrior, Doom, that kind of stuff. Yep.
Cool. And how often do you stream?
Every day, usually at 9 p.m.
Okay.
So 9 p.m. to midnight. So 3 hours every single day.
Consistent.
Yeah.
Nice. That's the way to do it. Sweet. All right, TJ, if you would be so kind, take us out.
All right, guys, keep the fires burning, keep the wine flowing, keep the lead shooting down range. Don't take anyone nickels. Don't drink all the rum, and tune in to next week's episode on Wednesday.
Fantastic.